So, if you've watched my latest video, you know I talked about the Mario Kart series. And while I was working on that video, I began to feel the urge to play the Mario Kart series again. So I did. And then I realized I'm really looking forward to Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U. And from what we have seen so far, there are going to be more retro tracks once again. That made me think, which tracks from older Mario Kart games do I want to see in Mario Kart 8? So then I decided to make this video you're watching right now. So after this long, boring and useless intro, hey, I'm Nicobbq, and here is my top 10 retro tracks I want to see in the next Mario Kart game. Now, obviously, every Mario Kart game finishes with a version of the Rainbow Road track. And now, I know nothing about the next Mario Kart that you guys don't know, but I can already tell you there's gonna be a version of Rainbow Road in Mario Kart 8. Spoiler alert! One of my favorite versions of the Rainbow Road is the one from Mario Kart 64. Now, I know it's not very spectacular, there ain't no giant rainbow column, there ain't no fancy stuff, but the Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64 is just long and relaxing, and that's why I like it so much. Sure, it takes about 6 minutes to complete the track, if you don't use the shortcut that is, but it's just a relaxing trip, and you get the time to check out the little details like the rainbow heads appearing in the sleeping sky. I like that a lot. Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii is a very fun track in which players race on country roads in the dark until they reach a pay-toll, which marks the entrance to a beautifully lit city. I don't know why I like it, probably because I really like to drive around town at night. I guess this track recreates the experience and feeling without having to spend all my money on gas. Well, except when I drive around town, there ain't no green shells and banana peels everywhere. Amongst the new tracks from Mario Kart 7, there's one that is particularly interesting. Neo Bowser's City doesn't really have anything particularly exciting to it, but it's just a good track. You know, most tracks in Mario Kart rely on some sort of gimmick, such as having a giant cannon, avoiding cars, going underwater, etc. But Neo Bowser's City on the other end is just about your driving skills. Well, with the occasional water puddle you have to avoid. But almost every curve gives you an opportunity for a drift boost, so that's why it's so great and why I want to see it back in Mario Kart 8. It seems that Wario and Waluigi tracks always have silly ideas, such as a Colosseum, a motocross track, or a pinball machine. Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS is one of my favorite tracks ever, and I was really happy when they added it to the Nintendo 3DS version. Well, now I want more! I want them to add it again in Mario Kart 8, simply because it is such a great track. I mean, you're literally racing inside a pinball machine. How badass is that? I know the fact that it was in Mario Kart 7 may destroy any hope of seeing it in Mario Kart 8, but one can hope. As I mentioned in the previous entry, Wario and Waluigi are eccentric when it comes to building a racetrack. It's like they have something to prove to the world. I could have chosen Wario Stadium from Super Mario 64, but let's be honest, I never really was a fan of this track. It seemed very bland to me. Wario Colosseum from Double Dash is where it's at. It's got crazy jumps, epic spirals, giant leap of faith. Man, I love it. It was a very long track, so they only made you race for 2 laps, which always seemed too short to me. Hopefully it will return with even more epic jumps now that we can do stunts in Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart DS is not my favorite iteration in this series, but it has some pretty solid tracks. The first one I would like to see added to the roster is the Airship Fortress. This one is based on those airship levels from Super Mario Bros. 3 and more recently the new Super Mario Bros. Series. You race along Bowser's boat only to be shot out of a giant cannon, only to restart the whole process again. Along the way you have to avoid Monty moles and fire columns. I liked that concept. Why didn't they re-explore it in more recent games? Remember Super Mario 64? Well, of course you do, who doesn't? Remember TikTok Clock? Well, of course you do, who doesn't? Well, did you know that Mario Kart DS has a track based on this amazing level? In this track, players have to avoid clock hands while racing on multiple gears and stuff. You have to pay attention to the rotation as it will either slow you down or speed you up. This is another concept I wish they'd revisit, as well as porting this one in glorious HD. As I mentioned before, I really like Mario Kart 64. It's one of my childhood defining games. There was one track that always made me happy in this version, and I name Yoshi's Valley. Why? Well, first, cause I like Yoshi. But second, because of all the paths you can take. In that race, you never know in what position you are. Some say it's because of the Nintendo 64 not being powerful enough to process who's first and who's not, but I say it's part of the mystery that makes this track amazing. You never know if everything's going fine until you reach the final line, and if they bring it back in Mario Kart 8, they better keep that mystery, cause I like it. Toad's Turnpike from Mario Kart 64 may not seem very impressive if you look at the basic layout of the track. I mean, you're just going around in a figure 8 form. But what makes it awesome is the fact that you are racing against players while trying to avoid cars. That's right, along the track are cars and trucks that can crush you if you're not careful enough. What's better than that? Well, in mirror mode, the traffic is mirrored too, meaning that you have to race while avoiding incoming traffic. Now that's pretty neat, and that's why I want it in Mario Kart 8. I'm not gonna lie, I am a big fan of pretty much every Bowser's Castle track ever made. Every time a new Mario Kart is released, I tried to avoid seeing this track in previews as I want it to be a surprising experience. However, the retro one I want to see back in the next Mario Kart is definitely the one from Mario Kart Double Dash. This version is just amazing. You start in a courtyard, enter the castle, go up going around a spiral, then you have to avoid a fireball circle of death. After doing all those stuff, you go down a stair only to meet a giant Bowser's head spitting giant fireballs at you. Holy jeez! They really outdone themselves when they designed this version. Now imagine this track with 12 players online in HD. Thanks a lot for watching my video, and if you enjoyed, be sure to click that like button as it really helps me out a lot. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, but you don't have to. If you don't, I just won't ever make anything on YouTube ever again. So the choice is yours. You know what to do. I'm all about free choices and stuff. You do what you want. Did you follow me now? Please follow me, okay? Come on!